What's up, guys? Here with you at FC Wonderkid, here with a special episode of the Premier League predictions, and I have the privilege to have here with me BRETON. How are you, BRETON?
I'm good. I'm tired. I'm straight off the plane, but I'm ready to go. It is. I think we're going to be talking about Premier League predictions because the Premier League starts this weekend, and I couldn't be more excited. I'm also very excited to be here. It's amazing that we get the opportunity. I'm 3,500 miles away from this guy, and once a year we try and get this done. And this is my second time here, and I'm ready to get going, man. We got a lot of content.
It's gonna be very bold, and I can say FC Wonderkid community people that are gonna be in Lisbon. Try to find us in the Sporting Stadium. We will be heading to Sporting Vizela, and DM us on Instagram, and
please.
we might even meet you guys, okay?
Yeah, love it.
So comment too. We're gonna get into the Premier League predictions, so you might as well put down below your predictions of the top to bottom, who gets relegated, top goal scorer, who gets promoted. No, we won't be talking, but Champions League football, top 4. We want to see your predictions and like this video, because BRETON went to Portugal for this.
All for likes.
All for the Premier League predictions to be done at the highest level community.
Absolutely.
But yes, let's start from the bottom to the top at 20th.
Yeah.
Who is the unlucky 20th?
Yeah, well, the Hatters. We'll call them the Mad Hatters this time. I think it's going to be Luton Town.
Town.
I mean, okay, let me preface it. Luton Town will not take the claim or stake the claim as worst Premier League team ever. Okay? That belongs to Derby County. And I don't think Luton Town will be that bad. Luton Town did make a signing relatively recently. We have who coming in?
Chung and Ross Barkley.
Chung and Ross Barkley. So is it going to be enough to keep them here? I don't know. But then again, there were a lot of people calling for some definite relegations last year, right? Nottingham Forest, this guy.
And look how many players they did sign.
Yes,
that was a rebuild.
But Luton Town is not doing that.
Luton
Town is not doing that right now. We are going to see their 9,000 person stadium.
Yeah.
I think you enter through like
Iconic
a department store or something.
Yes.
No, it's an amazing story. Out and out, and I would love to see Luton Town stay up. I would love to see it happen, but with the personnel and who's actually coming in the door and who they're going to be up against.
And I recall a player from Luton has played for them from conference to now Premier League football.
Is it in Penza? Yeah,
yes.
I think it is, yeah.
So, that is magnificent. That is bold, for sure. But you need more than that to be in the Premier League and stay in the Premier League. So I agree with you that Luton Town will be relegated.
Do you have them 20th?
But I don't have them 20th. I have Sheffield United at 20th.
Yeah.
Yes, they got promoted, but what are the strives to stay promoted? I do think Luton Town will be ahead of Sheffield United. 19th, 20th, okay, we're not going to be debating that. But, both teams, they're not at the level. The squads are not at the level to stay in the Premier League. And even the 18th, I think, is much better than the 19th and 20th that I'm predicting with these two.
I agree on that. I know where you're going with that. But I think Sheffield United, I have them 19th. I have them 19th. So we're just swapping them around. But yeah, Sheffield United is boggling my mind in this transfer market as the Blades get ready, as they come back up. And I still remember there was a time not too long ago that they were 7th, 8th, something like that in the Premier League. And here's what's happened. They've sold Sander Berge. Okay. They have sold Iliman Njai. I don't know if I said that name right. But he was sold to his boyhood club. He was sold to Marseille. I think he even had a stint at Rising Ballers. He's made his way up. He made his way up at Sheffield United. Was their best player in the championship.
The airport.
And they sold him.
He was seen as like an icon. All the fans of Marseille went to the airport to welcome him.
But like if you're a Sheffield United fan, what do you think about this? I mean, how do you process this? You're selling to Berge, he is a key player.
Yeah.
Jai, definitely a key player. What I do like is they brought in a Philly native Austin Trusty,
Ah.
signed from Birmingham City, I believe, for €5 million, and I am here for
Tom
that.
Brady, yes.
I would love to see him do well. He was voted Birmingham
sorry.
City fan player of the year,
Okay.
and I'd love to see him maybe, I don't know, try and dig them out of it. But as of right now,
Yeah,
Sheffield United is looking tough. So I got him 19th. You got him dead last. I don't know
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that,
I'm
though.
dead last. And Luton, I just believe in Luton. I think Luton's going to be a tough team to play because even their style of play, like, I'm curious. I'm very curious to see what the players they have. Like, let's wait and see. But tell us down below if you agree with us with the 20th and the 19th. But the 18th, look, with the 18th position in the Premier League, I'm going to say many teams can end in 18th. But I am going to go with the team that I think the direction isn't the right one. And it saddens me to say this, being a Portuguese man. I think Wolves are in a high risk of getting relegated this season in the Premier League. It's the most risk they've ever been. It's this season. Pedro Neto, I hope he comes back finally and he shows the player that he's promised. But Matheus Nunes has never been great there. Matheus Cunha has never been great there. Diego Costa, they even signed them. Okay, he must be on high wages too. Yeah. So I see a midfield too that's not too creative. You don't see a midfield there that's high level. No. I see Brentford much better. I see other teams in the Prem much better. So, and I don't see Wolverhampton signing those blockbuster players that you would see at least one or two in the summer going to Wolverhampton. And that ain't happening, and Lopetegui's gone.
Yeah.
So I put 18th. And Lopetegui leaves because something ain't right.
Right, exactly. Right. The writing's on the wall, whatever you want to call it. It's another thing like Sheffield United. They're selling. They sold Nathan Collins. Raul Jimenez is gone. Okay, which we knew was going to happen. Yeah. Who's the other one? There's one other that has left that I'm leaving out. But
we can see on transfer market.
Yeah, we can take a look. But that's the big thing is Lopetegui did not feel supported financially or anything. They had bad luck with injuries last year. They remember this guy from Euros, Austria, an Austrian big boy, Peter Crouch size, 6'7", 6'8", Sasha Kalajic. He's back. He's finally healthy for Wolves. If there's some sort of a saving grace, some sort of a, hey, here's a striker we can get behind, I'd love to see him do well because I haven't seen him play football in a year and a half, 2 years, and I'd love to see something go that right way. But come on, Matheus Cunha, okay? Matheus Nunes, okay? I understand these players to have once been on the short list of some of the biggest teams in the Premier League, some of the biggest teams in the Bundesliga. Matheus Cunha, I thought, was actually going to hit it off at Atletico Madrid. It never did. I'd love to see it happen, but under Gary O'Neill, I believe that's who they're bringing in.
If that happens.
I honestly, I just don't see it happening. So we are 3 for 3 on who we think is getting
you have
relegated.
18th, Wolves
I have
too.
Wolves at 18th. And so, it pains me to say that because Wolves...
No, it pains me, man.
I know it does.
Me big time, mate.
But I go back further with, I remember Robbie Keane. One of my first loves was watching Robbie Keane play for Wolves.
Moutinho's fine. Ruben Neves, of course.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Ruben Neves has left Wolves. Like that, no, but Ruben, he's a legend of Wolves. In my point of view, Breton.
Yeah.
He is a Wolves legend. So, they haven't signed a player to replace him at that level.
And they might
100%.
lose another, too. They might lose Max Kilman. I mean, Max Kilman is wanted by Napoli. I think Napoli is willing to pay 30, 40 million for him.
I think they got nothing,
and they're going to take it.
Center back. I think they've signed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But let's wait and see. So tell us down below if you agree with us with the relegation zone. So we have being relegated in the Premier League, Luton, Sheffield United, and unfortunately, being Portuguese, it hurts me to say it, Wolverhampton, that Lopetegui ain't believing, and Fabio Silva. You're the one that can save them.
All I gotta say, and this is more for Wolves, is there's still a month left or so of this transfer window. It can still be saved, but the fact that Lopetegui's gone, I don't know.
And 17th,
yes.
So 17th, I have a team that's been, I'd say, flirting with relegation too much. Too much. And when I see the transfer window, I see, strangely, Connor Cody going on loan to Leicester. And I'm thinking, isn't he needed at Everton? I'm going to put Everton at 17th. I believe in Sean Dyche. I love Sean Dyche. I think he did a great job for what he was asked at Burnley, but he's not being given quality. I remember Dwight McNeil being one of the best players at Everton the past 2 seasons, creative-wise. That says everything. Iwobi changing position is another highlight. Pickford is a legend of the club. But what more do they have? Calvert-Lewin struggling to get goals. Shermiti signed from Sporting for 15 million. That high potential, interesting, but no guarantees.
No.
So I'm not going to give guarantees for Everton in this Premier League season, and I'm going to put them 17th for that reason.
Okay, well, I've got them 16th, so we're pretty close. But really, one of the biggest things that Everton fans have looking forward for them is that beautiful new stadium on the river.
Yeah.
Beautiful new stadium on the
Expensive.
river. Expensive new stadium on the river. And I think they're going to want to retain their Premier League status so they can enjoy it while they're in the Premier League.
Yep.
But, yeah, when it comes down to it, there's just not enough happening.
Yeah.
And the real issue is at one point, whether it was Ancelotti, whether it was Benitez, I mean, they were able to get signings done.
Yep.
I mean, really able to get big names in, and very clearly the Everton name, sadly, unfortunately, has been sullied. It's kind of drug through the mud.
You had Allen there, you had Richarlison there, you had Anthony Gordon playing very well there, Dwight McNeil there. So you had rays of hope. Ancelotti even convinced James Rodriguez to go to Everton and ball out for a couple of seasons.
That's true.
That happened.
That I forgot that. But now, guess who's
A distant reality now.
It's like you said, Calvert-Lewin, who has looked a little despondent. He has not necessarily been able to remain healthy.
True.
You've got Neil Mopay, who I do remember a time when he actually was a pretty
he's a
good
good backup.
footballer.
Good backup striker.
I mean, I remember it at Fulham.
Yeah.
But it's not a guy you're going to hang your hat on. In the back, okay, biggest sign of excitement for me is that they're keeping Jared Branthwaite. I enjoyed
Good
Jared Branthwaite playing for PSV Eindhoven. I think because they sent Cody on loan, my guess is that Branthwaite will play a big role in that central defense this year. But once again, there's no changing of how they're going to play. If you're playing Sean Dyche ball, it's Burnley of old. And it's going to be hoofing it. And you've got Tarkowski there like you did when he was at Burnley. You've got everything in place to play Sean Dyche ball. So I think they're going to survive, but I also think that there's a very good chance that they could flip-flop
with the Wolves.
with Wolves. And they got to be careful.
I agree with
we'll
that.
see.
It's going to be very difficult for Everton fans this season. We don't believe it'll be an easy season. So put down below what are your expectations for Everton. Do you believe and do you agree with what we said about Everton? So 17th. You said you have 16th Everton. So who's your 17th?
Nottingham Forest.
I have them higher, Breton.
I know you do.
I have them higher.
I want to have them higher.
Why?
I do.
Why
I
don't
want to
you
have them higher. To be honest, the more I've thought about it,
Morgan Gibbs White is so good.
I know.
Danilo is so good.
Danilo
Scarpa,
is so good. Scarpa hasn't even played.
Yeah,
for
but
the most
I rate
part,
him.
But
I
I
rate
do.
him.
I rate him as well. Taiwo Awoniyi was very good late in the season. I
Yes.
get it. Brennan Johnson, I have a feeling. I thought he was actually going to get sold.
I thought that too. Yep.
But it seems as if he's sticking around. So, yeah, here I am, talking myself off this ledge. And on top of that, Matt Turner comes in to be their starting goalkeeper.
A great signing to replace Keylor Navas at Nottingham Forest.
It is a great signing. It just feels there's a lot of cannibalization happening here. I have a feeling that there's just going to be, once again, not enough what's the word? The squad is not going to come together well enough to play well enough. They're going to get sucked into a relegation fight, and they'll just wind up 17th. And it'll be exactly like last season, where, it was 15th to, 18th?
Yes, it
was
was tight.
3 or 4 points.
Everton was in the relegating.
So, really, these are all interchangeable when it comes down to it. It was 16th, 15th, 17th, whatever. Nottingham Forest is staying up. That's all you got to know. Okay, and they're not getting any higher. But if Danilo
Yes.
has the season like I think he is capable of. I know a lot of Palmeiras fans were saying he's overrated. He's overrated when he came.
No. The real Palmeiras fans, trust me, mate.
Okay, all right.
Danilo, not
I
overrated.
don't know. I feel like comments have been like relatively
No,
negative
no.
around him. I'm happy to hear that.
No, trust me.
But and you're right, Morgan Gibbs White. While I don't think he's worth that money, English tax. We're going to talk a lot about the English tax. I think he's played very well for them. So
I think he was the best player next to Keylor Navas and the striker too of Nottingham Forest. Morgan Taiwo. It was Taiwo, Morgan Gibbs White, Keylor Navas.
Yeah.
They strived to keep them, and they did a really good job at Nottingham Forest.
All right.
I have Nottingham Forest
How high?
15th. I have
okay.
15th. I'm not
In that
too,
interchangeable zone.
yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Interchangeable zone.
Okay.
But I have 16th Bournemouth.
Oh.
Bournemouth,
Oh.
okay? I'm not a huge believer of the team. I think, you have them much higher as
I
it
do.
seems.
They're one of my. I'm excited to watch them.
Ooh.
Mainly because of their boss.
But I'm going to say so.
Yep.
With my 20th, I've got Sheffield, 19th, Luton, 18th, Wolves, 17th, I have Everton,
Okay.
16th, I have Bournemouth, and 15th right now, I have Nottingham Forest. I believe in the Nilu, Brennan Johnson, Morgan Gibbs White.
Okay.
That's a good young core, and that Matt Turner transfer was quite positive.
I think Turner's going to be tricky tree for life.
Who's your 15th place? So
Okay,
Breton?
my 15th place. I got to look down here. 15th place is Burnley.
Burnley. I have them
Burnley.
higher.
I know
Breton.
you do.
I
know
have
you do.
them way high. Not way higher, but
Listen,
higher than 15.
Vincent Kompany had a lot of players in on loan. Okay,
Ian
he has
Maatsen.
not yet, I think, achieved the squad that he wants. Okay,
I agree.
So Maatsen being gone, he was an absolutely key cog in that. And he's not getting him back because it sounds like Pochettino wants to keep him at Chelsea, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Fantastic fullback.
It is. So Burnley, you've got Al Dakil. You've got a lot of really young, good players. But this is the Premier League.
I know,
This is
mate.
the Premier League.
I
So Vincent Kompany is going to try some things. He's going to try some things that worked in the Championship. I don't think that they're going to work right away in the Premier League.
Maybe as well.
Right.
But I think Burnley will be way ahead of other teams in the Premier League.
Fair
and
enough.
I think they will distance them. I think Burnley with company, they will distance themselves from the relegation battle.
So the reason why I have Bournemouth where you probably
Higher
have
than Burnley.
Burnley is because I rate Anthony Areola. Areola? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
God, Areola. I rate him a lot higher than Vincent Kompany as a young boss. So we will see who's right, who's wrong. But I'm rooting for Burnley. I mean, this is not Sean Dyche Burnley. This is not bunker ball. This is a fun Burnley team. So if I wind up eating crow because they wind up in 10th place or 9th place, I will take that L every day of the week.
You are
because they've
going to
got a lot of
watch
good stuff
Burnley Man City with me,
Yeah.
and you're going to be eating crow
That's
if they
right.
surprise people. Because
Okay.
Company knows Guardiola football, and that's
that's
another factor.
That's true.
Company with this Burnley team, it was the fastest team ever to win the championship, okay, in a calendar year.
True.
He knows the team. He gets young ballers like James Trafford,
Yep.
Zeki Abdouni. I love that striker. I think he's going to get more than 10 Premier League goals because he's going to be definitely the target man at Burnley. Big responsibility for him.
Huge.
So I just believe in Company. Just like Arteta a bit. I have a bit of a blindfold with the way Arteta plays Arsenal. I think the way Burnley are going to play with Company, I'm going to fall in love here in the Premier League too.
Okay.
So
Well,
I have them higher up.
You got to love the branding, too. You got to love the branding, too. J.J. Watt, right? J.J. Watt is
Yes.
bought on. T.J. Watt. J.J. Watt?
Oh
Gosh.
But with the 14,
He's married to, he's married to
sorry.
an NWSL player, former U.S. women's national team player. They bought in.
Okay.
And he's now pushing the Burnley brand. They are trying to make the Burnley brand an American, kind of like a Wrexham thing. So they're doing good stuff there. It's a very different Burnley team. Zeki Amdouni is definitely the name to remember. So good job. 14th.
14th. So I've got Fulham. I
with
couldn't put Fulham above 12th, in my opinion, in the Premier League. Why? I don't see Mark Silva as confident in the team he has. He even wanted Fred. Fred ain't going to Fulham. Palhinha, he's there, but he can't do things by himself. No. Andrés Pereira and Palhinha were unbelievable. But Mitrovic might not be staying. Willian might not be staying. Yeah. And Lenu could be, yes. But again, you need to have goals in the Premier League to be at the top 12.
Yeah.
And I do not get the feeling that they'll be scoring a lot of goals, Fulham, this season compared to the previous one.
No.
So I've got them at 14th, Fulham.
Unless Raul Jimenez, unless he goes back to his previous
But it's a
Wolves
question
years,
mark.
It's a big question mark. Their only other big signing that I remember is Calvin Bassey, who was phenomenal at Rangers, came up at Rangers, and then moved to Ajax in a big money move, and it didn't work out at all. But it's good because Tim Ream is another year
They're
older.
getting Sutalu. I think
You
Ajax.
think they're getting Ajax is. I was like,
Yeah.
Fulham?
No.
Fulham, Marco Silva with Sutalo?
But Fulham,
Okay.
they get Calvin Bassey, the 20 million,
yeah.
and Ajax uses that 20 million for Sutalu, which...
Ajax has bigger problems, in my opinion. We can talk about that
Yes.
later. But I have Fulham a little higher up, but I am in complete agreement that I think the honeymoon period is over. I think it's going to be a tough season for Fulham. Again, I'd love to be wrong. I think Palhinha might be coming into this season a little bit knocked up.
I think Palhinha will be the best player, no doubt, in my mind, of Fulham this
probably.
season. Palhinha, Lenu, and...
But you pissed your biggest striker off by not giving him that big money move, and I get it. You don't want him to go, and now you've got Raul Jimenez and Carlos Vinicius still up top. So really, I think Harry Wilson's going to play a bigger role, and I think Marco Silva's got to maybe get on his tactical horse and figure this stuff out, and maybe make them play a little bit differently. The same stuff that worked last year isn't going to work this year for them. So that's not my
14th.
Not my 14th.
Who's
my
your 14th?
Is West Ham.
Oh,
my. West Ham.
West Ham. That bad. You have them that bad. Is
Abso-
Declan Rice that much of a change? I do think it will be, but that much?
Declan Rice. Okay, the fact that they haven't spent any of that money. I know they're about to. You got James Ward-Prowse. That is a phenomenal pickup. I believe that's a phenomenal pickup.
With David Moyes?
I think it's yeah.
British players
on set pieces
thrive
alone.
with David Moyes.
On set pieces alone, exactly.
Jared Bowen?
And then Jared Bowen, 90% of his year last year was terrible. The other 10% was the Europa Conference League.
I get you.
But when it comes down to it right now, West Ham, you need Thomas Souček to be a much better player. He went from hero to zero last season, and hopefully he comes back and does some good things for them. But on top of that, you've got Mikel Antonio probably forcing a move out.
Yep.
You're going to need a new striker. Skamaka's gone.
Yep.
I don't know where their goals are coming from. They weren't really getting goals previously.
Haller didn't work out in the past.
It's coming from Jared Bowen has to wake up again. But when it comes down to it for me, it's the going after Manchester United's backups, right? That's okay, I guess. But you just won the Europa Conference League, okay? You just brought in how many millions of dollars? 115?
115
Yeah.
just from Declan Rice, and Paqueta might be getting them 70 more or 80 million more.
Is that true to City?
City's interested.
gosh.
I can tell you as a fact. They're interested.
My goodness.
And come on, Paqueta's a bowler.
Yeah, no, he is.
But David Moyes, you're reluctant with David Moyes, and
I'm
I do
reluctant
understand.
with David Moyes.
He is limited.
But
he won a Conference League.
and he was eighth a couple years in a row. He was in Europe.
With Everton.
It's just, can they do it again? I feel like they're skating on thin ice. And they got sucked into last year.
I have them way higher, mate. I have West Ham way higher. And I do agree with you that without Antonio, we haven't seen a striker working out like in the previous years. But still, I still see a core there. And if they go down if they use that Declan Rice money badly, they'll be labeled as a badly run club, this, that, and the other thing. A bit like Aston Villa was after the Grealish.
Sure.
They were getting a
in
lot
those
of stick.
Gerrard years.
Buendia didn't work out. Leon Bailey didn't work out.
I think Buendia is going to have a good year.
I think so too.
I'm calling
I think
it.
so
I'm
too.
calling He's looked lively in preseason.
Oh, we have Villa top 10, definitely.
Yeah,
okay.
But West Ham for me, okay.
14th.
14th. It does change a little bit. If they get McTominay done, if they get Maguire done, and they get Ward-Prowse over the line, I mean, this obviously becomes... And Edson Alvarez, yes. If they get all four of those over the line, we might be looking at top 10, maybe. But even then, that's the thing about the Premier League right now.
I'm going to say this. I don't believe top 10
is that it
for
doesn't
West Ham,
move.
even with those
right.
four. Even with
See,
those
that's the thing. Like, I was wrestling with that previously saying, well, if this, if that, if this. The only thing that's going to change my mind is if you bring Scotland form, Scott McTominay,
Exactly.
Mr. Goal Scorer,
Box to
Mr.
box.
Going box to box, then maybe we can have a conversation. But you know what looks dormant right now that kind of pisses me off? West Ham's academy.
Yeah, and
Declan Rice is gone.
Aguerd from Morocco, Aguerd from West Ham.
Yeah, he was injured a lot of last year.
I hope he
he's
plays
back.
big time because I have high hopes for Aguerd, underrated player in my underrated talk. Put down below people in the underrated. But I think so. You have West Ham 14th. I've got Fulham 14th, 13th. So I'm gonna say a team that I think you'll have higher, but I think Olise leaving and Zaha leaving. I'm going to put Crystal Palace 13th.
Yep.
I'm not a big believer of Roy Hodgson too. I think Roy Hodgson has big limitations in the Premier League. When you see a team like Aston Villa with Unai Emery, there's Zerbi at Brighton. Come on, Roy Hodgson isn't a level to put Crystal Palace in the top 10. So I have them in the 13th position. But I just want to say, Matheus França,
huge.
Eze, I love that duo, but I'm very concerned of Olise leaving and Zaha leaving.
Just tell me why Crystal Palace, with its branding, with its history, with its London base, why can't Crystal Palace just become FC Wonderkid? Why can't they just sign more Matheus Franças and say, hey, listen, we'll be like an Eredivisie team where we'll sell them on when they get big enough? Because it makes no sense to me that you're trying. What are you trying to be? Right? Matheus França is one, let's be honest, guys, out of left field. Nobody expected Crystal Palace, of all Premier League teams, to land Matheus França with Hodgson as his boss in his first Premier League season.
But they do have like Matheus França is a player that's entertaining to watch. Eze's entertaining. Zaha's entertaining. They kind of brand themselves with entertaining
Zaha's gone.
Olise is still there.
And Eze is going to have to be more consistent. I get it. He's given us several silky moments. Eze is absolutely phenomenal on the ball, but he's not consistent, in my opinion. Okay? And sometimes he can't stay healthy. And that is also an issue with Michael Olise. He's coming into the season injured. He was injured a lot of last season, and he had 11 assists. I mean, there's a reason why he is looked at for
£35 million is a release clause, Michael Olise.
But they keep the same defensive core, and there's no change to this defensive core, and that's kind of what bothers me because this is my American,
but wait, you
my
have
American
Crystal
bias
Palace
coming
13th too?
I do. This is Chris Richards, man. I want to see more Chris Richards. I do.
Wait, people, we didn't say 13th. We didn't combine, man, and we have the same. Oh my
I didn't
days!
have Fulham as low as I thought I did when I was talking about
it.
man.
But 12th. I'm gonna have Burnley at 12th.
Okay,
I'm gonna have Burnley at 12th. I believe Company will be a loaf of fresh air, needed in the Premier League of the young managers. I think we see a lot in the Bundesliga, young managers. I think the Prem needs more of that. And I understand experience, quality, being the best league in the world, but trust the youth. And Company will have a different style of play and a quality one. And I really, like I said, when you said Burnley, Zeki Abdouni, people, remember this striker. He went bold for the under-21s with Switzerland. And I believe he'll be going bold with James Trafford too in goal.
And what Company did to build that Burnley team for dominance in the championship was awesome. He pulled in Anas Zarouri. He pulled in Amin Al-Dakil, a center back. Pulled him in for little money. I think from both of them might have come from Charleroi. I don't think so. One of them did. But looking at those young prospects in the Belgian Pro League was just an absolute genius stroke. So I would love to see 12th place would be great. I don't think any higher than that. If it is, they could wind up, in all honesty, they could wind up becoming another Brighton in that sense, to where we all look at their transfer policy, we all look at the way they play, and we say, I love this. And why not, man?
Company, Zeki Abdouni, and Trafford, that's the way to do it. Good recruitment and good style of play, too. I like that. That's a bold statement. But like this video if you're listening until now. And come on, you might as well write a comment to put your predictions. It helps us a lot in the FC Wonderkid channel to see comments down below. We answer them. We try to answer them.
We do.
But 12th.
12th.
Who do you have at 12th?
We can skip over 12th because I have Fulham. And we've already talked about Fulham.
Whoa, I have them 14th. You have Fulham 12th?
I got
You
'em 12th.
believe in Mark Silva.
Yeah, well, I still think they have
I think
their
Burnley
core.
will be ahead of Fulham next season.
Yeah.
I think Burnley will be ahead of Fulham next season.
I mean, it's a game of inches. It's a game of inches. But you're going to love my 11th place.
Ooh, 11th so.
Because I believe, wait, where did you have Bournemouth?
I had Bournemouth like 16th.
I got Bournemouth 11th. I got Bournemouth 11th. Listen,
Why?
Because they are showing
Is
ambition.
Eddie Howe back at Bournemouth?
Hey, maybe. No, listen, they are showing absolutely some ambition. And you have to applaud that. Come on, they hijacked the deal for Milos Kerkez.
Fresneda.
They're probably going to get Fresneda.
If
He's
that
not in
happens.
yet, but that's
No, but
massive.
Kerkez is one of the best young left backs in the world, people, and was
Poached
it
him
as
from
Alkmaar?
Lazio. Poached him from Benfica, I know one of them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is actually a big deal. And they've brought in, who are the other? Justin Kluivert.
Justin Kluivert.
Kluivert.
If
Kluivert.
Kluivert plays big time, like I remember Kluivert being at Ajax, high hopes.
Yeah.
Went to Roma too, didn't work out maybe with Mourinho, but good
this,
work out at
This is where the
Bournemouth.
boss comes in. Like, this is Anthony Iriola. This is Real Sociedad legend. Or, I'm sorry, Athletic Bilbao legend. Not
Athletic
Real
Bilbao
Sociedad.
legend,
Bilbao
yes.
legend. Goodness, come on.
Don't worry.
But he has come in. He's got some great ideas. Whether or not they're going to work in the Premier League remains to be seen. But you can see what he's trying to build here. He's got Dango Ouattara that I really, really like the idea of. I think he's going to bust out this year. He's from that Lorient trifecta, that Enzo Lefebvre and all them. They didn't get Enzo Lefebvre, but they got Romain Fevre from Lyon.
That's a good
Okay, who I think previous to that was Brest. I forget where.
Yes, Favre, I think he was at Brest, yes.
Yeah.
Or Lorient maybe, but
Or
let's
Lorient.
see.
Okay, and Kluivert. They got, Amad Diallo's brother, Hamed Jr. So there is a lot of ambition being shown here, and it's something that at least you got to give them credit for that. I think they could wind up next to Burnley, could wind up being one of the two will wind up being a surprise club. I'm going to say Bournemouth this year.
I want to see people backing you in the comments with Bournemouth.
They probably won't.
Please, come on.
And they just brought in Max Aarons. They're bringing in Max Aarons.
So Fresneda's not happening.
It sounds like Fresneda's
Max
not happening.
Aarons
No,
and Kerkez.
Yeah.
Those are elite signings for
and you got
fullbacks.
Senesi and Ilya Zabarny at center back.
Zabarny that was injured last season, and we expect him this season to go
Bournemouth,
bold.
11th place. You heard it here first.
That's so bold, but I believe Burnley will be the Bournemouth that you're believing. But okay, so 11th Bournemouth, 11th I said Brentford.
Yep.
10th I go with West Ham. I think West Ham will get 10th place. Oh no, 11th. No, I didn't say my 11th.
No, you didn't.
Brentford.
Yeah. Okay.
Brentford's my 11th. Okay. Ivan Toney out. That's a huge player going out. I think Thomas Frank is a great manager. Okay, one of the best managers in the Premier League, but you get to a level that you can't compete. And without a striker like Toney that can score 20 Premier League goals and be a major difference, I cannot back more than 11th for Brentford. So yeah,
I got him in 10th.
10th.
I got him in
who's your 10th?
My 10th is Brentford.
Brentford.
So 11th was Bournemouth. 10th is Brentford, and I agree with you. I think Thomas Frank carries the ship here. He seems to get a lot out of a little, and they've been spending. They just haven't been spending they've been spending a lot of money on players that we kind of look at each other and go, well, they don't pique my interest, right? Nathan Collins, wonderful center back, wonderful young center back, but I'm not going to be like writing poems about him. Okay. They also spent $28 million or $25 million on Kevin Schad from the I think it's Freiburg.
Yep.
And he hasn't really gotten going yet. We have to see him, and that is going to be one of the big question marks. Can Ivan Toney's goals, his output, the answer is no. It can't be matched by one person. So. But can it be matched by multiple people? Can Mikkel Damsgaard step up because he has not yet transitioned well into the Premier League? Kevin Schad. Who's the other guy? Johan Wiese. Keane Lewis Potter is the other guy. So there's a lot of these guys that they've bought for relatively big money that have not gotten going just yet. And it can't all be Brian Mbomo. And he was electric. He was next to Tony last season. Those were the two best, in my opinion. But if there's somebody that can keep a mid-table, even without Ivan Tony, it's going to be Thomas
Let's
Frank.
hope Damsgaard becomes the player that we see in the Euros. He goes both for Brentford. Let's hope that happens too. But 10th West Ham, I wanted to say, look, David Moyes, I think will be a good manager for Harry Maguire. That, for me, was... I'm not going to say a phenom. I think Harry Maguire, captain in Ronaldo, will always be one of my worst nightmares that had happened in my life. I cannot... Now that I look back out of it, it's mad that happened. But West Ham, you're getting Scott McTominay. I believe in you when you say that it's the McTominay of Scotland. Very different player, completely. But Edson Alvarez and Scott McTominay, that will have to be the duo that is better than Souček and Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Let's hope. It has to be Scott and Scott McTominay. But yeah, I'm very limited with what I hope from them, and that's why I have 10th and striker. Honestly, I do not know who are they going to have at striker. Because Antonio, very good player, role player with Moyes, but I never have that. Scamacca,
yeah.
I had my question marks even before Scamacca arrived. I was like, he's not British.
Yeah.
I don't know how is he going to be with David Moyes because Jared Bowen, big time with David Moyes. Declan Rice, big time with David Moyes. British players just improve massively with him. So I just wanted to say that, and that's why I've got him 10th place.
And okay, wow.
It's sad, man.
I think it works. But
the 12th to the 20th, no, the 12th to the 18th in the Premier League, like any team can legitimately have reasons why they're in that position. Yeah. You can say that, but that's what makes the Premier League so damn interesting.
Every one of these clubs that we've talked about, right?
Yes.
When we're talking about spending money, right? Brentford alone has spent more money than the majority, if not 95% of the La Liga teams, of Serie A teams.
Oh, yeah.
And it just goes to show you how much money is circulating in the Premier League.
More than Luton, definitely.
Yeah, Luton apparently didn't get their check in the mail yet because they have not spent, or I guess they have to actually use it on their stadium. But okay, 10th place for you is West Ham. Who's your ninth?
Ninth place. So half. We're in the top half, exactly. So to start my top half in the Premier League, in the 9th place, I'm going to put Aston Villa. I believe big time. No, actually, no. Sorry. I'm going to put in 9th place, Brighton. I think European competitions are going to take the best out of them.
Yeah.
There's Zerbi, great football. I believe in it. But McAllister has left. Caicedo could be leaving.
Yep.
Levi Koval has left. And I do believe they signed great players. If Kudus comes, that would be great for Brighton.
Huge.
And a great price too. But still, you have a lot of youngsters. It's a rebuild. And honestly, if Brighton get top 10, that's a win for them in back-to-back seasons with Europa League in this season too.
Yeah.
So Brighton fans, hold up, believe in the club, believe in the project, and go bold because you extended Evan Ferguson. And I believe Evan Ferguson will be in at least the top 6 goal scorer talk in the Premier League. And he's 18.
Young Player of the Year?
Definitely
Dark
Irish
horse?
Young
Dark
Player
horse?
of the Year.
Oh, fair enough.
Definitely Ireland Player of the Year. I'd say he's the most exciting Irish talent I've ever seen in my life. And I'm 25, people.
I mean...
I like Bazunu. I like Nathan Collins. But Evan Ferguson is built different, man. The Irish Haaland? Do I go that far?
Ooh, wow.
He's not like Haaland, but you know what I mean. Like Hoyland?
Well, you can say the Irish Hoyland.
Yeah, that could
like
be
that.
doable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I've got them 9th, Brighton.
Where do you think I have Brighton?
I think you have them 8th.
I have them 9th.
9th? You have them 9th? You're the hopeful for Brighton.
I normally am, and I agree with everything you're saying right now. I am worried. I mean, more so in the midfield because Moises Caicedo. I think you were a little. You were light. You were light on Moises Caicedo. He is currently stepping out. He is holding out from practice because he wants to force his move. And I said that's the only way this is going to get over the line because it doesn't sound like Chelsea's. I don't know why Chelsea doesn't just give the $100 million, but whatever. I mean. Anyway, that's a whole
it's just
separate
like
issue.
Lavia. Why doesn't Liverpool just get... Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, except Todd Bowley will spend, $25 million for doorstopper.
Sanchez.
So, anyway.
No, they spent 25
23
million on a backup goalkeeper at Brighton. Sanchez.
But that midfield, okay? That midfield engine,
Billy
right?
Gilmore.
McAllister and Caicedo potentially gone. That's tough. And I don't think people realize how tough that is per se, because behind them, yes, is Billy Gilmore, but Billy Gilmore has not yet gotten massive amounts of Premier League minutes. I want to see it, and I want to see it this
Billy
season.
Gilmore,
But you got Gilmore, Buonanotte, Yasin Ayari, and Kudus. Yep.
And Adingra will be
Kudus.
big time. I believe in Adingra big time for Brighton.
And these are the X factors. Simon Adingra, João Pedro. We don't know exactly how he's going to do with Brighton, but as of right now, the early returns are in, and João Pedro looks phenomenal.
And the Hood from Dortmund.
And oh, that's right.
Without injuries, the Hood from Dortmund can be very surprising.
Without injuries.
But still, like to name these players, Buonanotte, Billy Gilmore, the Hoods. I think they'll be having, and Kozlowski, will he be back finally?
No, I think he's going to spend another season at Vitesse.
Which is fine, because he's a
fine,
youngster still. They can still
Jacob
do it.
Motor? He'd be huge for them this season. If Jacob Motor was healthy,
Without
he was trending
injuries.
upwards. But there are so
And
many
Ciso.
weapons.
And
so
Ciso.
many weapons, yes. And Ciso.
Mitoma.
Okay, so I think Mitoma is going to have a little bit of a regression to the mean this year.
Okay.
I think Premier League defenses will have figured him out, will have studied his tape.
And
I don't think Mitoma is going to be as lights out as people are going to give him credit for, but that's okay.
Nah,
that's
I
okay
agree.
because there's Enciso, there's Ferguson, there is,
I think
dare I say,
Mitoma will
Welbeck.
still he is important for
He is
Brighton.
important for them.
And I think João Pedro will be very good with the Zerbi. And that left side, man. Mitoma and Estupinian. I still believe Mitoma will be breaking ankles. And in the Europa League, I believe he'll be one of the best wingers too. The Japanese winger, Mitoma, the future of Japan.
You don't think they've studied him enough? I'm just saying, watch out.
I believe
He'll
I'm
still
a
score
big
goals.
believer
Don't
of
get me
him.
wrong.
I'm a
I mean,
big
he'll still play well.
And I get Mitoma vibes. I get Mahrez vibes. I'm reaching. I think Mahrez was immense, wins the Premier League, but let's wait and see. He still hasn't reached it, but he's getting to it, and let's wait and see the next club of Mitoma. But
ninth place.
Ninth place, Brighton. I have Brighton too in the ninth place. At the eighth place, you're not surprised because I said it ninth. Aston Villa. I believe that Aston Villa will be finishing eighth. Unai Emery, great manager, great rebuild he's done. Ollie Watkins is different. Jacob Ramsey's different. And the players he's convincing to join Aston Villa. Pau Torres, he was being mentioned to go to United last season. Tielemans on a free, that is unreal. Moussa Diaby for 50 million, they're paying what they want.
Yeah.
So I believe Aston Villa will end up in eighth, and Diego Carlos can be seen as
And
a
United-
signing because he's back.
Yeah, and United are still looking for that center back today.
Oof.
Yeah, ain't that a shame? They need one.
But imagine,
I'll
like,
get to that.
Look, Martinez, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres.
Yeah.
That's a privilege that Unai Emery
and
has.
that midfield spine.
McGinn,
And you got him in
Tielemans, Jacob Ramsey.
And you got him eighth.
Oh, I've got them eighth.
I don't got him much higher
Come on, how would you have them higher, Breton?
because I have Chelsea eighth.
No! Pochettino will definitely not finish below eighth or eighth, Breton.
Tell me why.
Because Pochettino in a rebuild, I think he would know what to do in this sense.
How are they better from their 12th place last year?
They have not a better team in terms of
And
individuals.
keep in mind, Nkunku's out for 4 months. Keep
Yeah.
in mind, Nkunku's out
Is
for
it
4.
2 or 3 months?
Oh, I saw 3.5, and I just rounded up.
But let's wait. I think the midfield, they're going to get it done. I think Caicedo is going to be in midfield for
Okay,
Chelsea. I
yes.
think it will be Caicedo and Enzo. And I think it will be very different this season for Chelsea around with Nico Jackson much better. I think Mudryk will be a much different winger this season. And
He has to be.
yeah, I see Disasi, Benoit Badiashile, I see Milo Augusto, Enzo Fernandez. I see names that I think will strive with Pochettino. And the difference from last season to this one, that's why I think Chelsea will definitely not finish close to the 8th spot.
Yeah.
Digging you. Because they have a team more, and they have a sense of hope
How do they
and
have
an
a team?
identity with Pochettino.
They don't have a team. They just signed Mexico. They just signed Monaco's center back.
Disasi.
They signed Disasi, and they have Badiashile, who they barely gave time last
And
season.
Levi Colville
when they should have. Yes, I agree.
will be big time.
Levi
and
Colville-
Reece James being the captain is
But-
the right decision.
But saying that they have a better team right now, they have more players. They have more
Less
promise.
players.
They have more
They have
potential.
less players.
The only player that they have signed the only player that they have signed that is actual ready to go Premier League, like Premier League class, okay, is Enzo Fernandez. Everyone
Jackson.
else is they could. Nico Jackson, not yet. I agree he could, but not yet. Okay, he only came on strong the second half of the season for Villarreal. I do agree he has some properties that could be turned into Premier League class.
We could say the
He's
same
good for 10
Vardy.
goals.
Like in the past, Vardy only went hot like that one season, and all of a
course.
sudden he became consistent. I see Nico Jackson.
He was hot for other seasons. Too.
Come on.
But Enzo wasn't enough last season. And he is the highest caliber player, in my opinion, on this team.
But Enzo is in the top.
Nkunku was next. He is the only other player that they have signed that is ready-made Premier League player. Ready-made player that they've signed. Everyone else is promise. It's Wonderkid FC. I agree they're all approved. They better improve.
But look at this defense with Sanchez, new goalkeeper.
Yes.
Reece James at right back. Levi Colwill. Benoit Badiashile or Disasi. At left back, Ben Chilwell. It's not the best defense, but
no,
it's not a bad
I mean, it didn't
defense.
do it in Ligue 1 for Monaco. Why would it do it for Chelsea in the Premier League? And this is coming from somebody that rates. I rate Disasi and I rate Benoit Badiashile, but they are not better.
Okay, Thiago Silva, Levi Colwill. Sorry. So Ben Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Levi Colwill,
How do you
Reece
think
James.
Silva feels about losing the captaincy to Reece James?
I think he knows
23-year-old.
I think, but Reece James, he's been at the club since he's been a little child, and he represents the club the right way. Reece James, if he's fully fit, is a world-class player and is the starter at the right back spot for England ahead of Trent.
I agree, but he's also been injured, and you don't give it to the player that's been there the longest.
But
you don't give it to the player Thiago Silva.
Days,
I don't care.
Breton.
I don't care if he's there for 6 more months. Thiago Silva should wear the captain armband. And then when he leaves, guess who he can give it to?
Who?
Reece James. I just don't understand why you yank it from him early in the season.
I like the captaincy to Reece James right now. I like it. I'm not that guy that says that I believe age is a number.
I love that you take the 2 most injured players and you make them captain and vice captain. I agree, though. I do agree that they both wear the badge incredibly well, and they both are insanely passionate. I'm 100% there for you, but Thiago Silva has seen everything, has done everything. I don't know why you wouldn't keep him in that senior role, keep this glue together, and then you hand it off once he leaves next season.
I think,
Reece James is going to be there, is he not?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so why do it now when you've got this smattering of all sorts of wonder kids that you're trying to cobble together to make a team?
Reece James must be leading by example in preseason and in training and backing Pochettino.
And Silva's not?
I think Reece James might be doing more than maybe Silva in practice. Honestly, I see Pochettino saying, Reece James, you're backing me and I'm going to back you back. And I think they're going to have a solid team. Something different from last season. And I disagree with you, and I think it's factual. Chelsea had more players in the team, in the squad, last season.
Oh, I wasn't saying they had a smaller roster. I'm saying more players that are Premier League ready-made.
I get you.
Mason Mount, Premier League ready-made,
but
even if it doesn't fit.
But that was the problem. They have a lot of players that didn't have the right status at the club. Jorginho was a bigger player than what he was being held accountable with Lampard and Potter. Mason Mount.
What status are we talking about, though?
Status of starting every weekend. Jorginho wasn't starting. Kante wasn't starting. Mount wasn't starting. And the fact that they wasn't starting makes problems. Exactly. They want to play. And the status at the club wasn't met. Their standards weren't met. And now there's a sense of structure.
So if Pochettino had them in his roster, you're saying he wouldn't play them?
No. Pochettino is a top manager. He will not have a roster with so many egos for so many same positions. You had to make the structure of this.
This is the first time I'm hearing that they had too big of egos.
So
Jorginho's too big of an ego in Arsenal?
Too many players, I said too many players in the same position with egos that then would confront themselves. Jorginho, Kante, Enzo Fernandez, all the same role. Kovacic. You cannot have as many players as that.
Well, now they don't have enough. So
even Billy Gilmore was there at a given point, and then he went to Brighton, which was a fantastic buy. So my point of view is the Chelsea.
How high do you have them?
I have them 5th. Okay, I think Pochettino this season will be one step away of Champions League football because it's a huge transition in the Premier League, being in the Champions League too at the same time.
Really known for developing young players?
Yes. With
like really, really well.
With Southampton, he was pretty good. And Tottenham, Dele Alli became unreal with him. Harry Kane became unreal with him. I think, like, he's going to do that with Mudryk. I think just like at the beginning of Arsenal with Arteta, there were no leaders.
Yeah.
They became leaders with Arteta. I think Pochettino will make some of these Chelsea players leaders. Colville, Reece James already captain. Enzo will be a leader.
Yep.
And Kunku, maybe Nico Jackson, and maybe a Mudryk or an Odi Madueke. It's maybes. And I love the loan of Cassidy to Leeds. Okay, to Leicester. It shows that he plays with Maresca. It's the right style of play too. And they're thinking if ahead of time, saying, oh, Cassidy will be good. You'll develop better. That's better than what we've been seeing in the past.
I think I'm more excited to see what Strasbourg can do.
But
Just kidding.
But Strasbourg, David Washington, Angelo. But
hey,
we'll get to.
I'm gonna root.
I have them higher up. We'll get to that.
I would love to see Mudryk have a great season.
But who'd you have with seventh?
Seventh. Yes. Let's look at that. Who do you have?
Eighth, you have Chelsea.
I have
Aston Villa.
Seventh is Aston Villa.
Seventh, okay.
Seventh is Aston Villa. The only other thing I wanted to say in there, you were starting to mention it before we moved on, was that spine. That spine, that midfield spine, Tielemans, Kamara, McGinn. I mean, they've got a number of players that can do the job.
Douglas Luiz could be leaving, though, which
I don't
naturally Arsenal would want him. And the other club, it's Arsenal or Chelsea, I think.
They're going to have to pay a pretty penny. Did he just...
He extended last
year
season.
Ago. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, so he's going to be a pretty penny.
It'll be 50 million.
Yeah, well, I really want to put them higher. I do. I want to put them higher than seventh because I like it. Everything is there. All the ingredients are there. And the signing of Moussa Diaby, in my opinion, is their problem solving, or Unai Emery's ability to look at it and say, I need an explosive something, because Leon Bailey didn't give it to him. Bailey and Diaby used to play together at Bayer Leverkusen. Ollie Watkins scored goals, but guess what, guys? Aston Villa, they were the worst scoring team in the top 10 last season. By far. It wasn't even close.
But
they
the
scored
impact of
only
Watkins,
51. The impact of Watkins. And that's
With
the thing.
Unai
You have
Emery.
Ollie Watkins scoring, 25-30% of your goals last season in the Premier League. Moussa Diaby needs to be able to unlock defenses. And I think he is going to do that. I just don't know if it's going to be enough, because the top 8 are all very
I think
growing
it is
teams.
Tielemans having the
But
luxury.
you have him 8th.
I have them 8th. Yeah. But come on, Aston Villa 8th is a win for me.
Yeah, but they were higher than that last year.
True, but I believe that, look, they are not investing like other teams that we're going to be talking higher up, in my point of view. But no, Aston Villa, in terms of ball conduction, in terms of the style of play, Unai Emery, Tielemans, everything that they're bringing in, this clear positivity.
But why wouldn't a Chelsea go after a Diaby over a Madueke or a Mudryk? Why wouldn't you spend $50 million on somebody that has killed it in the Bundesliga? Right then and there, you've got Nkunku and you've got Diaby,
I think
and you've got
better.
That's the only thing that irks me about Chelsea. I'm not a Chelsea hater. I really want to see this experiment work out. I just think his Pokemon card collection got just a little too ahead of itself.
Look, I like Moussa Diaby. I want to put it out there that Moussa Diaby at Bayer Leverkusen with Frimpong right wing, elite. But I still think Nadi Madueke, Mudryk have a higher ceiling if they go right at Chelsea. I'm not saying it's going to happen. No, Mudryk most definitely has a higher ceiling. If Mudryk goes right at Chelsea, he's one of the best wingers in the world. And I'm not going bold. I'm just talking about potential, the speed, the mind of Mudryk too. What he was doing at Shakhtar, not a lot of players could do that at that age. So Pochettino gets it right. He has a world-class player at given moments with Mudryk. And that's what I believe we can see. We can see.
Well,
but
Villa at 7th. And
at 7th, I have Tottenham, BRETON.
Okay.
Tottenham. Big Ange, Tottenham. And yes, if Harry Kane does stay, I might have to change this top 7. But I'm going to say that he should go. I do not believe he should be held captive for being a Tottenham legend. Come on, man. Daniel Levy, let him go. But it's just not a happy mood, and I do not have as high as expectations as we've talked about this. Vicario,
Yep.
I am reluctant on Vicario. Lloris is a club legend, and not a lot of people talk about the fact that Lloris is not there anymore. I hope Vicari works out, but it's a doubtful. And young fullbacks with Porro and Udogi, still no guarantees. Richarlison, what? 2 goals in a full season? He has to do much better with Big Ange.
Yeah.
So I've got extreme question marks with Tottenham, and I have them 7th.
Spurs. I think they could finish as high as 4th. Maybe, but I have them in 6th. I took the coward's way out. 100%.
I was like,
I know. But if Harry Kane stays, there is a possibility. They have a possibility. They absolutely do. They need another signing or two, in my opinion. But okay, the new VDV is here.
Solomon.
I am actually high on Mickey van de Ven. Okay. I've watched him over again. I watched quite a few.
Mickey van de Ven is a great center.
I watched him quite a lot
for
for Wolfsburg. It's an overpay. But you got to overpay for that acronym. You got to overpay for Van de Vaart.
How much was Romero?
Van de Ven. Cuti Romero, I think, was 40.
So 40 million with Mickey van de Ven and Cuti Romero. That's 90 million with center backs.
And Porro, oh my gosh.
40 million
that was a lot too.
130 with those 3 players. Big Ange.
It's a defense. And you've got Emerson Royale that might actually play.
Udogi.
But Emerson likely will play over Porro at some point.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. He might play over Porro at some point just because Porro has been poor.
No, mate. No.
Not
Porro
at offense,
will start.
at defense.
Porro will start.
I think he will, but I think Emerson's going to play more than you probably want to admit.
I won't admit it.
Okay, you will not admit it. But listen, James Maddison is another reason why I can get really excited about Spurs because we know what Maddison gives week in, week out. Now, the issue with Maddison, again, is injury. But I think him in Spurs, this is going to be one of the first times. James Maddison, Norwich City, Leicester City. This is going to be one of the first times that we see him in a top 10 team, top 16.
He can have double digits assists with Son in front of him and Kane.
Yeah.
Madison will be having a
That's why I think Harry Kane should stay. Just stop it.
No.
Just stop it. Yeah, I mean, the saying in the States, and I don't know if they use some version of it here, is SHIT or get off the pot. You okay? All right. I can't say it. I don't want to curse. But it's Harry Kane either force the dang move or say you want to stay.
Which he did try in the past to City. And that was like 150 million.
Harry Kane trying isn't Moises Caicedo trying.
That's true.
Okay, and I know he did miss a couple days of practice.
And his agent is his brother of Harry Kane, so I can't imagine his brother like going to Tottenham being the big boss. That can be the case. We don't know. I'm sorry if that's the case.
Yeah.
But he hasn't left the club. And that's a big answer we got.
But you know who is going to have a big season this
Minor
year?
Solomon?
I
for free?
Don't even have him in my notes, and that is a very nice, shrewd signing. He's somebody that gives you some electric off the bench, just something they sorely lacked last year. Their depth was one of their biggest issues last season. They had nobody to put in, and Richarlison was a ghost for a long period of time. But he also didn't play much. No. Basuma. I think Basuma is going to have a very, very good season.
He'll be better with
in
Big
midfield.
Ange. Yeah.
I really do think with Big Ange. And that's the other thing here is Big Ange is very, very different philosophy-wise than any other coach that's been at Spurs. And I'm cautiously optimistic, as I said in our last podcast.
You know, he's the coach that I think accepts the most the position that Spurs are right now. He accepts that they need a rebuild. He's not like Conte that says, no, top 4 minimal. Yeah. No, he's like, if we get 5th, 6th, we can get the next year top 4. Yeah, it's more, but I do think he needs to see progress, though. He needs to see growth, but I think Tottenham is the A side on this.
Well, I have him 6th. I adjusted him down.
I have 6th Newcastle. 6th Newcastle. I think Newcastle will be having Champions League football. I think they'll be having back-to-back seasons with European competitions, Newcastle, and seeing when the Newcastle takeover happened, to say if there was a possibility of having Champions League football first season, Europa League football second, it's fantastic. And I think it's a huge win for Newcastle to be in the discussion of the top 4 race. And Newcastle is right now in that discussion, and they deserve it with Eddie Howe as their manager. Isak, one of the best young strikers in the world, in the Premier League, definitely. And then Bruno Guimarães with Tonali midfield. That is a luxury. That is a luxury. And I'm going to go with Newcastle 6th position. The best defense I know in the Premier League last season.
But that's a pretty big down pegging.
From
That's
fourth
a
to
pretty big
sixth.
down-pegging.
Come
I
on.
mean, behind Mudryk and Chelsea. No, behind Enzo and
Do you
Chelsea,
think
but-
like Liverpool will end up again behind Newcastle?
No, I don't.
Exactly.
I don't. And the same reasoning of why I think Liverpool will finish higher after a abominable season
No Champions League football.
is the same reason I have Newcastle in fifth. Okay, and the reason being is I think that defense. Okay, that defense was I'm not going to call it a flash in the pan. I'm not going to call it lightning in the bottle per se, but I don't think it's repeatable again. They got so much out of so little in that back there. It really is going to come down to whether or not they can get in the top 4, top 3 again, is whether or not Sandro Tonali shows up right away, world class. One, and Sven Botman takes the next step up. Those are the two things. So here's the thing. I
love that deal, bro. I love that deal.
Okay. The kid has barely played in a year, and you're spending $35 million on him. There's English tax. I now understand what English tax is.
Livramento português.
No, listen. They've got Kieran Trippier there already. He's going to get a year under
Captain.
Kieran Trippier. I like the deal too. I am just flabbergasted that it's $40 million for Gordon, it's $40+ million for Harvey Barnes, and $35 million for Livramento, who's been injured the whole last 13 months.
But Gordon in the under 21 Euros did prove himself for that
Sure.
price tag.
You can't prove a price tag in a U21 Euro competition, but he was better.
Potential.
I think that there'll be very decent squad additions. I also am going to say this with a grain of salt. Miguel Almiron will not replicate his year. Dan Burn will not replicate his year.
I believe in Dan Burn at left back.
He could, but they were monsters last year in terms of outperformance, in my opinion, to what their perceived ability is. And if they do it again, I will take that L all day, any day, but that's the reason why I have him in fifth. I think there's going to be a reversion of the mean.
You are not taking an L for them because I have them sixth. You have them fifth.
True. Yeah.
So
he'll take the L.
I'll take the L because I'm the one saying that Chelsea will be finishing above Newcastle.
Yeah.
So you have Chelsea finishing behind Aston Villa, Tottenham, and Newcastle.
Yes, sir.
Mate, I believe. Maybe I'm a believer of Poch. Maybe I'm a believer of Mudryk.
Yeah, you
but
are a believer
if
of
Enzo
Poch.
Fernandez is the player that I saw at Benfica, you saw at Benfica Stadium, mate, I believe that they'll be at the fifth position.
Fair enough.
The Todd Boehly era has started, and let's wait and see.
It's also not over yet.
If you're here until now, thank you for listening until now, and put your decisions from the 5th to the 10th, because it's not easy.
No.
But now, top 4 Champions League football spots.
Oh, we should make it its own
Champions
video.
League spots. No. Premier League predictions, top 4. In my 4th position, I'm going to put Liverpool. I think Klopp will get Champions League football for Liverpool, something that this season they don't have, but they don't have. Why? Because of FSG's fault. The FSG think that they can match the other top 4 teams in the Premier League with their investment. And boy, oh boy, they can't. They can't. If they're being cheap towards buying Romeo Lavia for 5 million more, they cannot compete with United with what they're spending, City with what they're spending, and obviously Arsenal with what they're spending too. Arsenal spends 150 million for Declan Rice.
Yep.
Klopp cannot get Romeo Lavia for 50 million. He has to beg for 5 million more. That cannot happen, and the shrewd deals will get to you at one stage.
Yeah.
So I have Liverpool in the 4th position.
All right. Well, I don't have Liverpool in the 4th position.
What?
So I won't talk about Liverpool just yet.
But wait, I bet our 3rd and 4th are the same, though.
No, my 4th is Manchester United.
And my 3rd is Manchester United.
Okay.
And my 4th is Liverpool.
I mean, help up top is going to have to come. It's going to be Rashford, right? We all agree Rashford starting at the 9 to start the year? Or you think they're gonna start Sancho?
Rasmus Winter Oiland starts
No,
as striker.
he's injured. He's got a stress reaction in his back.
Martial.
You think so?
Put
Okay.
left wing.
All right. Well,
Leave him at left wing.
the help up top is going to have to wait.
Hey,
Right. I think
how long is
it depends on whether or not there's an actual stress fracture. If it's a stress reaction, they caught it relatively early and it should be fine, but it is his back. And that generally comes when you're growing. So beyond that, again, I said this in the last podcast. It's the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you look at this defense and say, with Ten Hag, okay, I've said in the past, Andre Onana is a fractional improvement over what De Gea was. I agree. Hold on. I agree that he plays more in the style that Ten Hag wants to play. Great.
Individually, yes. But for the team, much better.
But let's extrapolate that. There is no way that Ten Hag looks at this back four and says, yeah, this is exactly how I want to play football.
100%. But
okay?
how would he say that in the second season?
Well, you had money, and you decided to spend it elsewhere.
But imagine, striker costs you more than 70 million any case scenario.
Okay.
That's 1/4 of what he spent. Casemiro was one of the best signings.
Johnny Evans in.
But Casemiro was one of the best signings. And Evans for free? That's a great deal.
Getting played last season.
Getting Phil Jones out. Yeah. Getting Maguire out. And getting Evans in, for me, it's a big win, honestly.
It could have gotten Soyuncu on free. If you want to go for Leicester City players.
For me, it's a plus. And Lindelof, for me, is the best out of the bunch of outside of starting position. I like Lindelof staying as a team player. But no, and Casemiro signing and Rasmus Winter-Højlund cost 150 million. Necessary transfers in my point of view. And if we add Martinez, it's 200 million of the 390 million spent by Erik ten Hag. 3 players that are necessary in a rebuild. Man United, I cannot discount this. Man United, before Erik ten Hag arrived and Ralf Rangnick, the amount of signings, bad signings they did. They even had Di Maria. That was quality for them. Falcao. Like, so many signings that you're like, what? That can't happen. Like, even when Pogba was signed, there was not a team for Paul Pogba to play with.
Still not playing.
But Onana, he signed, and there's a team that plays for Onana's strengths. And that's the change now. You don't feel like there's no guidance to Man United anymore. There's a philosophy where Erik ten Hag, there's a start of a new culture, and any signing that is brought by Erik ten Hag, they're coming with an intention to clearly play. Mason Mount, Højlund, and Onana, and even Evans all come with the intention of having a positive impact in this team, which they will. I believe that.
But progress under Ten Hag this season is considered what?
Staying,
third place?
maintaining third place, yes, and having a positive Champions League in which they go through in the group stages.
Okay.
That will be positive, and winning another cup, they won the League Cup. If they win the FA Cup, that would be huge too.
Yeah, and transfer window's not over yet.
It's true.
I know they're looking at Benjamin Pavard. They're looking at Jean-Claire Todibo.
Pavard would be phenomenal for them.
Pavard would be good because you'd get a little...
Play fullback and center back. Sorry?
Sorry, Delo.
No. Sorry, Bissakas. What? Sorry, Dalo just extended me. Dalo just extended. But I think a right back could be something that... We were saying Frimpong before the start of the transfer window. And Frimpong with Erik ten Hag...
He wouldn't cost that much either.
35, 40.
Yeah.
But we like that Leverkusen. I hope he stays at Leverkusen because I have them high up.
Well, you just went your third, right?
I just went my third.
Okay.
And
did you already say your fourth? Yeah, you did.
My fourth's Liverpool.
Okay, well, I'll say my third.
And just wanted to say, why do I have United ahead of Liverpool?
Yeah, why?
Because United spend big time and Liverpool isn't willing to spend when center backs are needed, a right back is needed if Trent goes to midfield, and even 2 more midfielders to play in this Jurgen press. Physical midfielders are
Watch
needed.
the switcheroo happen. Instead of going after Romeo Lavia, Liverpool's going to go after Tyler Adams, get him for 20 million that Chelsea are going to spend. You know Chelsea's about to sign Tyler Adams.
And we spoke about this on the pod. I believe Tyler Adams is not a Champions League winning starting midfielder, okay? But...
Winning. He's a Champions League starting midfielder, though.
No,
but winning, I mean, that's tough. So you're saying Mason Mount is a...
I don't see him as like a Real Madrid Day 1 player, you know? And I see Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo as players that one day can be competing at the world-class level.
Yeah,
Enzo,
I agree.
Legitimately, for me, instead of going to Chelsea, he could have gone to Real Madrid.
And they keep saying, though, that Adams deal is completely separate of Caicedo. So it's crazy to me that they need spend on both.
I'd get both, 100%. I'd get 3 maybe midfielders for Chelsea.
Meanwhile,
no joke.
Liverpool.
But just wanted to say this stat is Jurgen Klopp, in all his time at Liverpool, he spent 356 million. Erik ten Hag in 2 seasons, already in the 390. already in the 390. So
Shows-
that says it all.
Shows what a good boss Klopp is.
Klopp is legitimately the best manager to work with what he has in terms of resources in the Premier League in the past 7 seasons.
Yeah.
To compete with Guardiola. With the amount of money that he has,
It's-
Klopp, phenomenal. He went bold.
He
Jurgen
did.
Klopp.
He did, and that's why I've got him second.
Oh! You have Arsenal third.
Hey,
Mate.
it could be like by a point.
Mate,
Come on.
I have Arsenal second.
Why?
I believe Arsenal. Why?
Yeah, why?
Declan Rice is now in.
That's great.
Huge leadership.
Sure.
Saka is going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Saliba's going to be better. Seeing Ramsdale's game in the Community Shield and then knowing that David Raya is going to be the backup, mad. And a
Well,
clear
the backup
improvement
doesn't-
from Matt Turner.
Yeah.
Clear
Well,
improvement.
What do you mean? Matt Turner won the majority of his games that he was in.
He's not
He
better than
never even
David
got to
Raya.
play. No, I'm not trying to say he is, but the backup doesn't win you games.
It does.
The backups don't mean anything.
It does. It
They
does
don't
win
mean
games.
anything. David Raya is taking the paycheck to sit on the bench.
And it's the
Congratulations.
I don't think he'll be bench all the games. I think they'll be switching some games here and there.
Keep the heat on Ramsdale. That's
and-
okay. But listen, I think they overachieved last year. I'm going to say it. And it's moderately. And I think Liverpool's coming back, and they've got a chip on their shoulder, and it's Jurgen Klopp. Klopp versus Arteta, I don't think we're going to see a 67-point season from Liverpool again. I don't think they're going to snap back and go 95 points, but they will be in the running for second. They will be in the running for second.
You think it's going to be close?
Absolutely.
I agree
Better
they'll
be
be close,
close.
but I think Arsenal will be ahead
Yeah.
of Liverpool. I see a significant change in the culture of Arsenal with Arteta.
'Kay.
And from what I was saying, from what I believe Pochettino is going to do, Enzo becoming better, Reece
Yep.
James becoming better. Arteta, in the space of 3 years, has done this with Arsenal of creating leaders. You have Ramsdale in goal. He's a leader. Saka. Declan Rice now. Saliba. Nullified the best goal scorer in the world, which is Erling Haaland. And that center back, for me, was the problem. The center back depth last season. It's no more a problem.
Yeah, now the
They
problem
can-
is winger depth and striker depth.
But at center back, they have Timber, Gabriel Magalhães, Saliba, Ben White. That's hella options. And they have the center back they signed from
their
Spezia.
defense.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
And
clear. Yeah, but they're fullbacks. That's an issue.
Tierney can
Tomiyasu
be-
injured, and Tierney needs to leave.
I think
Tierney
they
needs
should
to
sign another right back. I completely agree with that. Tierney shouldn't be starting, but he should be there. Zinchenko, for me, gets that left back spot. I agree with you with that too. But again, a lot of players here, you just believe that they just trust Arteta. And I'm not saying that players do not trust Klopp, but there's a bit of a sense of fragile times.
Well, they're in different maturity states.
But just see the team.
Like-
just see the team of Liverpool.
Yeah.
The changes that is going to happen from last season to this one. You have James Milner no longer there. Naby Keita no
Yeah, I
longer
know.
there.
Yeah.
Their captain is even going to change with Jordan Henderson leaving.
Yeah.
Salah. A lot of
Fabinho's the
people
big
say
loss.
Salah is not the same player from last season to previous seasons to that.
we'll
But
see.
again, I believe that their forwards and Darwin Núñez will be big
Yeah.
time for them too. But come on, Bretson.
I think Gakpo's going to have a big year, too.
I thought the disagreement was going to be the first place, but we just believe Man City is just so clear from the rest of the Premier League.
I have no reason to knock them down in any way, shape, or form. They've done nothing except sell Mahrez, except
mate,
all that. And listen, the only thing that kept me from putting
Arsenal not
the only
second.
thing that almost kept me putting Arsenal in second, or almost had me putting Arsenal in second, was the Fabinho sale.
Yes.
That was tough, right?
Ooh.
But I do believe that they will address that, because once again, that midfield is
Only one midfielder, Lavia.
no.
To
I got it.
address Milner leaving, Naby Keita leaving, Henderson leaving. That's so many. And I'm not saying they were high standards, though. And Fabinho,
Thiago still.
Thiago's still there,
healthy,
yeah.
He's still there. We'll see.
McAllister, Szoboszlai, Thiago. Okay, Curtis Jones, will he be much better? Harvey Elliott, will he be much better? Fabio Carvalho on loan too? I have Arsenal second. You have Arsenal, third. I'm shocked, mate.
It's so far away.
I'm
third. I don't have them
But
seventh
people,
here.
tell us down below
They
your choices
overperformed
down
last
below.
year. You have to admit that. They overperformed last year.
Arsenal?
Yes.
No. I think they performed what they needed to perform. I think the Premier League, honestly, from
Then what
past
was the
season-
last 3 months?
No, the last 3
5
months.
months.
The last 3 months was what they showed that they didn't have the right depth to compete with Man City. The mentality.
I thought it was mentality.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It was the mentality.
How does
and
Declan
depth.
Rice change that?
Because Xhaka's not there, and it's Declan Rice in that role. Xhaka had a huge role as a captain, and many people perceive him as the right captain
I get
for
Declan
Arsenal.
Rice as a leadership role. I get that, but he was also a leader for a relegation fodder team last season,
Conference League winner team.
and a conference league winner. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And a starter for England that was pretty good in the World Cup Euros with Declan Rice.
Which one are we giving more weight here when we're talking about the Premier League?
I'm giving more weight to the Declan Rice. It's going to be Arsenal legend.
No,
This is the feeling I'm getting.
Arsenal
Saka,
legend.
Saliba, and Declan Rice becoming Arsenal legends. I'm getting that feeling.
Oh, Saka's
Saliba, mate.
already up there, but I
Saliba.
feel like you got to win a trophy first.
And they will. And I think Arteta, the road to glory to the trophy is clear, and I think it deserves to happen. The only signing that I'm like, obviously Havertz. I'm like, Havertz is striker. That's the point I'm reluctant. But Gabriel Jesus, I think he's a starting striker, and he'll be doing much, much better.
Injured.
Yes, and Eddie Nketiah too.
Is Martinelli injured too?
No, Martinelli's not injured. But there's given moments that Martinelli does get injured. And why do I have Arsenal second and not first?
Yeah,
Because
why?
some people in the comments, I hope, have Arsenal first. I have them second because of Champions League football. The biggest change and the biggest praise I have to give to Arsenal with Arteta is they've achieved Champions League football.
Yep.
And to play Champions League football with Premier League, it ain't easy to be successful in both. And if Arsenal wasn't successful in the Europa League last season, in the Champions League it'll be much more difficult. But I believe they'll want to be. And they'll do a good role and go through the group stages. So Arsenal second in my point of view. But first, Man City. And if we have Man City first, we believe that Man City will become the first ever team to win 4 Premier League titles in a row. This happens why? They have Pep Guardiola, they have Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, Stones, they have Ederson,
Josko Gvardiol now?
Josko
I mean,
Gvardiol, Bernardo
it's-
Silva. And do they have the best manager ever with Pep Guardiola and Man City?
Yeah, ever? What? Ever?
Ever? By getting these 4 titles, Premier League titles in a row?
If they win 4 titles in a row, could be.
If he gets, imagine Man City get back-to-back Premier League and Champions League title. That would be drop the mic.
It would be
Goat
pretty-
manager
pretty
Guardiola.
bold. I think Pep Guardiola would step down after that.
2 more seasons, Breton.
I know, but
I think it's 2 more
he'll
seasons.
leave early.
He'll leave early.
He can step out.
I don't know, man. 25 million a season.
I think it's hard to bet. I mean, come on. Opta's supercomputer.
Yes.
I think they had 91%
For Man City to win the Prem.
for Manchester City to win the Prem.
Come on,
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
We like underdogs here. It's not Underdog FC. It's Wonderkid FC. FC Wonderkid. But yes, Arsenal, Liverpool, a roaring back. One of these teams, giving them hell. I want to see it. I don't want to see this 4-time. Although it's insane if he does it.
But the reason
think about it. Think about how much has to go right, has to be managed right. The different campaigns, how you've taken some guy, Erling Haaland in particular, obviously, and you've somehow managed to keep him healthy the majority of the season. And sure, he ghosts a game or 2, but then he scores 4, or he scores 3 in a Champions League. What was it? A quarterfinal, semifinal, whatever it was.
It's 5 goals. It's against Leipzig.
It really is, and I get it, and they're not afraid to spend.
And he subbed them out. Guardiola
There is
did
no
that.
ego. There is no ego.
There is a rumor
What
that
is-
Messi scored 6. No, Messi did score 6 goals, and there's a rumor that Guardiola did it to help this guy out.
Man.
But when I say this about the leader talk about, I believe Chelsea will have, I believe Arsenal are making the leaders.
Yep.
Man City already have the leaders. They have legends now. Legends in the making, maybe.
Yeah.
But leaders, definitely. Man City have Ruben Dias that never lost a Premier League title, Ruben Dias. That they were going to sign Koulibaly. They got Ruben Dias, and that was the best decision. Oh, unbelievable.
And he doesn't rest on his laurels. Guardiola goes out, identifies Josko Gvardiol. I mean, he's had him identified for 2+ years now. And he spends the money to make a strong defense even stronger, something that Newcastle did not do. And that's one of the things, because we're talking about the two best defenses in the league. Guardiola also helps what?
Tonali defensively does help a lot.
He does
front,
help a lot.
But I get
Guardiola also distribution. I mean, he unlocks defenses. He likes to drift forward sometimes. He can play left back.
He's perfect for the Guardiola system with 4 center backs to play the left.
Can't wait to talk
back.
about Leipzig next. But no, I just I think both of us would love to see. Sorry, Manchester City fans. Someone give Manchester City hell.
Yeah.
But this team is just too strong.
And to replace Gundogan with Kovacic, still, it's going to be a very different Man City team because Gundogan's left, Mahrez is left.
They lost the Community Shield.
And I think Arsenal looks different. And the way they won that Community Shield at the last minute, the resilience needed. Come on, people. Come on, tell me.
He's all about the intangibles. All about the intangibles.
But if you're listening until now, please do not forget to like this video. It's a huge help for me at BRETON at FC Wonderkid. Put down below your predictions from top to bottom. Definitely top 4. Just a top 4 comment. And yes.
Give us hell.
Thank you. Thank you for going bold and listening to another episode. Until now, people.